Yes, I'm David Shukman. For many years, I was a BBC News correspondent covering climate change, and it's amazing to see the pace of change, good and bad. In fact, people often ask me, how can it be that day after day, there's a relentless flow of horrific, calamitous climate news, fires on a scale we've never seen before, flooding, drought, heat waves. Every day there's something really unpleasant, and as someone described it, climate change is like a performance enhancer, exacerbating existing problems. How can it be that on the one hand we have all this terrible stuff, and then on the other hand, if you look around, there are so many positive indicators? If you look at the price of solar power, in many parts of the world, solar is now the cheapest form of generating electricity. Unimaginable when I started reporting on climate change 20 years ago. Offshore wind. I filmed Britain's first offshore wind farm in 2003, a forlorn little collection of turbines off the beach in Northumberland. All the experts said, it's never going to work, it's always going to be too expensive. Where are we now? 13 gigawatts of offshore wind, more on the way. I know there are hiccups, but the trend is impressive. I know EVs in China are sometimes controversial, but there's a $6,000 car, electric car, on sale in China. 1 in every 2 cars on sale in China last month was electric. Something very big and potentially positive is happening at the same time as all this negative stuff. So I think we're a sort of generation that has to learn how to think about not one transition, but 2. We're living through a very exciting industrial transition that hopefully will lead us to a safer world. At the same time that we have to learn how to live with climate change that's already hitting us. It's not a thing about the future, it's in the present tense. And I want to reinforce that point as a setup to our first panel, because I think sometimes, you're all accepted, obviously, but sometimes at events to do with climate change, I think there's a slight coziness that creeps into the discussions. It's all a little bit comfortable. We've all got net zero targets. We're all doing this. We've got solar panels on the roof. It's all kind of fine. But it isn't, because we're living in a more hostile climate now. We've warmed 1.2. Actually, in Europe, which includes the UK geographically, we've warmed 2 degrees. So we're in a turbocharged situation already, which I hope sets up our first discussion, which is to look at the whole question of the impacts of climate change on us, what it means for our lives right now. And I think this is so important because so often these discussions are framed in slightly abstract terms. You look at the graphs and the lines are going up, or there's some numbers, 1.5 and 2. People toss models around. But actually, the point is it's starting now. So I wonder whether you would join me in welcoming to the stage our first panel, and we'll get on with, I think, what will be a cracking discussion. Thank you.